How to turn failure into a stepping stone, and how to turn shame into the most transformative experience of your life. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Healing into Femininity. My name is Joanna, and today we are talking about the third step of the third phase of the Dream Builder system, which is a proven, repeatable, reliable system of transforming your dreams into reality. And going straight back into the topic of the day. People always want to manifest the life of their dreams, their dream body, their dream career, their dream relationships, right? Their dream income. Great. I'm all for it. But before we go towards the light, before we actually manifest the life that we truly love living, we first have to face our own darkness and how our own darkness actually reveals itself to us by coming out of the subconscious into the conscious is by us making mistakes, is by us failing before we can thrive. And I want to symbolize it by my own life experience. I always like to go first. And just so you know that, first of all, I am not bound by shame. I am not held back by failure. It is the stepping stone. I'm living it, right? But also for you to know where to apply it to in your own life. So before you can get to the next level, most of the times in our lives, we first have to really experience the pain before we can transform it into pleasure and power and purpose, right? So, the first thing that I believe, especially as women, are really ashamed of. And this is where you see the parallels, right? Because shame, as I said, is the lowest frequency. Shame is even lower than fear. And we're talking, and this is what I love talking about, is root work. That means in the lower body, in the root, in the womb, in the root, and everything that has to do with survival, right? With survival, with existential fear, with existential topics, with, of course, sexuality, recreation, life force. Okay. Why I'm using all these words, I will tie it in now, is that what we are most ashamed of many times has to do with those fundamental things. And one thing that most of us women are ashamed of once we come into a higher consciousness is, for example, the men that we've chose to lay with, right? And I can definitely say that too, because on my journey here, one of the most painful things that I have experienced is number one, the choice of men that I had, men that didn't want me, men that abused me, men that abandoned me, men that exploited me, right? All of it, right? On my journey to becoming my best self, right? My most fulfilled, abundant self. And I believe that that's true for many women. And so many women are held back by sexual trauma, right? Or sexual relationships, or, yeah, relationships that they are ashamed of, and maybe a sexual past that they're ashamed of, right? No matter what it is, this is something you can get out of. And the second topic I believe that we are most ashamed of is debt, right? Money and debt and everything that has to do with us either not having money or mismanaging money. So my favorite topics are these in order to ascend into our higher selves, in order to ascend into a higher vibrational being, and therefore attracting high vibrational things and people and relationships and money, right? So, sex, money, and power. those things are based in the root. And what I said in the beginning is that before we can turn the failure into a stepping stone, it has to reveal itself to us. We first have to become conscious of something that has been living inside of us. And what I mean by that is, for example, for me, I always thought that I was somebody who was solid and that I had a level of self-esteem and confidence since I was a child. Like I actually thought that that was true about me. But when I entered the realm of entering, yeah, sexual relationships or romantic relationships, I realized, or this is only then that I saw that there was a program playing in my darkness, in my subconscious, right? When I say darkness, I also mean subconscious. It is not conscious to my conscious self, right? So I thought I was somebody that had high self-esteem and confidence and actually self-respect until I got challenged or until I got tested through these men, right? So I or it revealed itself to me that I didn't actually have the self-respect that I thought I have. I didn't actually have the boundaries or the communication skills or the worthiness or the self-acceptance because I've always been a girl with actually high morals, right? The road to hell is paved with good intentions, right? Because if you can't actually communicate and set the boundaries and not engage with anything that is off your intentions, you're still off, right? Intention alone is not enough. So I want to make it as easy as possible. So I had to be faced with a situation of temptation, yeah, to reveal my unconscious to myself. So, with me entering painful relationships, this is only when that happened, like a few times in a row, when I could see my patterns. This is when I had to sit with myself and be like, okay, this happens again and again. That's not what I want. So, it had to come to the surface. It had to become conscious to myself that there was a level of lack, right? Of not enough self-love, of not having the communication skills, the boundaries, right? Not accepting myself, rather abandoning myself for the communion with someone else, right? Those things had to be revealed to me. And I'm telling you that because the same thing is true for you, right? Look back on your life and see the patterns, right? The relationship patterns. See them. Only then you can turn that failure into a stepping stone. And I will give you a little process in the next part of this video that goes with men. And I know, again, I know that many women feel ashamed for what has been in the past, their sexual past, especially sexual past, which many times comes with romantic relationships, if we want to call it romantic, right? So being ashamed of that, we need to release that. The second topic, as I said, was about money, right? Especially for me, I've always been an ambitious woman, a business-oriented woman, and I have made many experiences in the business realm. So I invested into the wrong business ideas, right? I entered again relationships. That's why I say the same forces, the same mindset, the same limiting beliefs, the same core wounds inside of you that govern your relationship success many times govern money success as well. So investing in the wrong business relationships, and ultimately, and again, it's the same pattern, and ultimately getting exploited, right? Because I didn't hold my boundary, I didn't hold my worth, I didn't stay in alignment with my own values, I didn't stay in integrity with who I truly know who I am, right? So, not negotiating the right percentages, not negotiating the right deals, right, before entering. Again, I think it's just so interesting to see how much money and men really go together, right? So diving into something without getting my own needs fully met, right? And ultimately, as I said, being exploited. And then ultimately, the next thing, as I said, is money, business, but then also debt, right? The thing that I believe that many people are ashamed of, that they're in shame of, is debt and their financial situation. And I have been there too, because all of my decisions with probably men and money and my negotiation skills and not standing on business and everything I just said led me to reap the consequences. It led me to face, yeah, the consequences of my actions or inaction. So I got into debt. And actually, when that happened, I felt so relieved. And maybe you can relate, because once something that was like lurking in the dark, because you knew somehow what I've been doing until now hasn't really been adding up. So when I had my like my debt file or whatever, I don't know how to say it, but when I had my debt being revealed to me, this is where I saw it black on white, right? Where I saw, okay, this is now the amount that I have to pay back. It kind of felt like a relief, but before that, it felt like I was running away from something in the shadows, something in the subconscious, something in the unseen, right? And then I could finally see the monster. I could finally see, this is how much I have not been paying attention to my own energy, overgiving, as I said, not acting in integrity with myself. I could see it. And now that was the beginning of me transforming it. And the same thing is true for you, right? We first have to make it conscious, first become aware of it, shed some light on it. And sometimes the light will be shed through your receipts or the receipt that will come. So become aware of it and then reflect and see, how did I create that? What mindset, what emotion, what belief created that outcome, right? To look into that and then to take accountability and not say like, oh, they and blah, blah. There's one saying in German, and I think it's probably in English as well, is that even like your unconsciousness doesn't protect you from having to handle the consequences. Like just because you didn't know about it doesn't mean that you are free from reaping the consequences. So because you have to reap the consequences, you have to still do it. That's part of being an adult, right? So you have to get into those situations and then see them as somehow of a blessing. I know it sounds very optimistic, but that is the art of transformation. That is the art of alchemy. So it is about becoming aware of the emotion, of the mindset that has created that outcome, and then take accountability, and then cleaning up the mess. And this is ultimately a formula of turning your pain into prosperity, into turning your unconscious into conscious, right? And this is how people create businesses, stories, brands, like products, services, from being so deep in pain and then having to work their way out of it. And the same thing was true for me. Like I have had that in all areas of my life. but also financial. And that's how I know that I'm equipped to lead women to their next level of abundance. Because when I had to deal with my own debt, I had to deal with looking at myself, as I said, setting up structure, system, finding the information, but also dealing with people, right? Dealing with the people that I had to call who that I owed them money. I had to deal with them. I had to deal with the tax office. I had to clean up my own expenses, my own accounts, and really see where is my money going, and really pay more attention to my money, to my cents, to my euros, right? I had to really pay attention to everything that went with cleaning up the mess, and it transformed me into a more mature, more responsible, and more savvy woman, right? Because again, we probably know that saying that if you ask for something, if you ask for abundance, if you ask for a million, if you ask for the love of your life, if you ask for friendship, if you ask for everything that is truly desirable to have in this life, you will first go through the process of seeing and testing and preparing you to be the person that can actually hold those things that you asked for, right? So if you want a healthy relationship, whether it is with a friend or with your family, or it doesn't have to be romantic, you will go through relationship challenges in order to realize where your faults are, where you're still unconsciously doing things that are not beneficial to a great relationship. The same thing with money. Right? You say you want millions. You say you want to build a six-figure business. You say you want to build a seven-figure business. You will have to go through learning how to deal with money in the next level way, whether it is from your beliefs to your thoughts, to your actions, to your management, and really cleaning up everything that is leaking. Yeah. So the lesson today is how to turn failure into a stepping stone, and how to turn shame into your next level, right? Because shame, as I said, shame, I believe that's why I also always say, like, I wish rock bottom upon everybody, because once you hit rock bottom, you are at the ground. You are at the root. You came to the root of the thing, right? And hitting rock bottom is not about staying in shame. It's not about staying in self-pity or like thinking you are a failure. No, this is actually the moment of revelation. This is where you can finally see what has been sabotaging you all along. This is where you can finally see the boogeyman inside of you, which is rooted in lack, right? The three core wounds in basically every human is not feeling worthy, right? Not feeling good enough, not like feeling abandoned or betrayed, right? Like we always feel like we're inadequate. This is a core wound that many, many, many humans have because it's a program, right? It has been installed in us for generations now, where people are slowly waking up. That's why I'm also here, and that's why you are here, because people are realizing that the darkness in the world is reflecting the darkness in humans. And this is what I always say, like, I don't want to minimize it, but we have to take accountability. The world is a world that we created or that we let happen as a whole, as a collective. So the more darkness we see, the more failure we see, the more things we see that we are ashamed of, this is the moment of the potential of transforming it into the light, right? This is the moment, as I just said, we become aware and we take responsibility, and that is the moment where we set up the system, where we seek solutions, where we seek answers, where we find new ways of doing things. That is the moment of transformation. So don't let shame or failure keep you on the ground. See this as the amazing possibility that it is, because it is a moment of revelation. It is a moment of revelation, revealing all of the darkness, all of the yuck, right? All of the things that has been subconsciously ruling us. And now is the moment of power where you can actually transform it and then build a new life, a better life from a solid foundation. And when I speak about solid, I mean from a conscious foundation, because now the darkness has come to light, and now you know this is something that you now know. There will be the next level of unconsciousness, and the next level, and the next level. But for now, let's celebrate it. And I ask you to do the work, right? I ask you to sit down, take a piece of paper and a pen, and then write it down, right? Write it down, write down what are you ashamed of? As I said, for many women, it is about men and sexual relations and giving yourself away for cheap, right? And maybe even to an extent. As I said, I know prostitutes, I know pimps. I have seen a bit of the even darker dark, right? So even if you come from a darker dark, you can still come out of it, right? Like it's just about becoming aware and actually looking at it. And yes, it's uncomfortable in the moment, but then you liberate yourself from it being part of your identity. You liberate yourself from it ruling over you, because now you see, okay, like what has created that outcome? Let me now reinstall a new, healthier paradigm. And if you want to do that, if you're ready and willing to really make a change, a 360-degree change in your life, and create your next best level from the life that you're currently living, contact me. You find all the information down below. Join our school membership. Join me in the next Dream Builder cohort, and let me help you to create the life that you absolutely love living, because it is possible through a proven, repeatable system of transforming. Yes, so I'm looking forward to hear from you. Until then, see you in the next one. Bye bye.